Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Monday, May 9th, 2022. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here is a look at the daily time frame of the ES. Fresh lows today for the year for the ES, pushing down below the previous week's low, getting a low of 40.31 and now bouncing off those lows into the 40.60s. Price just holding above the previous week's low at the moment, but again, we've seen how aggressive the selling pressure has been, especially after bullish days. Any push to the upside or any positive day has been hit very, very hard since, obviously, since the beginning of April, but also since the beginning of the year. Every push higher has been hit with major selling pressure. We're now on lows of the year. We mentioned before, 4,000 is a big time level right there that may need to be tested. And if 4,000, that LVN doesn't hold, it may open the door to a test at the previous year's low. That's 36.52 down the road. So again, typically speaking, when you are at the counter trend edge of a trading range here, there can be a bounce that happens back within the range, but you have to be careful with the counter trend edge because a failure to bounce will open up the potential for further expansion to the downside. So we're at a very critical point in the chart right here that if this zone can't hold soon and lead to at least a short relief bounce, then we could be looking at a major transition phase through that 4,000 level and into the 3,600s down below. So again, big time level right here. Keep an eye on the previous week's low price at 40.56. A rejection of that level early in the week could lead to a bit of a bounce, and if so, 41.10 could be the next upside target from a short-term basis, maybe as high as 41.80, the previous week's midpoint, but right now, not really expecting much beyond that. Even if a bounce were to occur, it could be hit with another round of selling pressure down the way, given the downtrending price action. So right now, big time support, major CLVN, and got to see how the market responds to those levels. If we take a look at the NQ right now, the NQ down about nearly 2% already today. Again, NQ hitting new lows for the year and are just near the previous year's lows. 12,207 right here in view. Very close to those levels right now. We've gotten to 12,343 here on a low today. That's the lowest price of the year. But again, we could be looking at further weakness into this previous year's low, perhaps through it. And again, typically speaking, a test at a previous year's low can provide a significant opportunity from a long-term perspective. Not to say that this thing will drop and just rally suddenly, but at some point we may see an opportunity to trap below those levels and perhaps see some sort of relief bounce or rally ahead, because if not, again, we may be looking at the next major pivot below. This is the previous year's low. The 25% extension for the year is right here. That's 11,067. So if a failed bounce or trap happens here, this level could be the next major level of test. So again, while we may see a little bit of a relief bounce, if prices can negotiate back above the previous week's low, any bounce could still be seen as a selling opportunity given the downtrending price action. So while we are on new lows and we could see a little bit of a bounce back toward 13K, a return to 13K could offer another opportunity to sell it for a push downward toward 11,000. So again, big time area to test coming up. We'll see how the market responds to that zone. But right now, very, very bearish across the road, across all different sectors right now. I mean, energy's down, you have metals down, the dollar is down. Everything right now is basically showing weakness. Crypto as well. If you take a look at crude oil right now, this one's down 2.4% right now. This one's turning down off the upper end of the range. We mentioned before that this one's trading range bound right now. 105 is that sticky middle portion of the range. You have about 115 on the top end. You have around the 95s on the bottom end, and that's been your 10-point range. Again, this range been very, very good about keeping prices inside the zone here. And even if we were to see a push up to the edge around 115, 116, it could provide another opportunity back down. If we drop down to 95, 96, it could provide another opportunity to bring it back up. So again, inside the range here, down at the moment. Keeping an eye on the 106 zone. right now. That is basically the previous week's midpoint. If there's a bounce there, we may see a retest of highs down the road. Keep an eye on the previous session's low as well. If we take a look at Bitcoin, this one's down 8+% right now. A huge gap down and run. This one is the lowest prices we've seen all year. So over here, when we had that major initial flush, this one got a low of 32,855, and right now we are currently below that, 32,795. And this is just off the lows of the day, 32,570. So again, big time push into the lows. We are now at the bottom of this larger trading range that has developed. We noted before that at some point we may see a push down to the previous year's low. Initially we thought that there was a shot to get there sooner, and it's kind of held off. But now a breach here at 36K has opened up a tremendous flush, and the last couple of times below 35K has led to tremendous reactions back to the upside. If we don't see that here soon, again, we may be looking at a test at the previous year's low. That's 28,440. And we mentioned from the beginning of the year that if we were to drop into the previous year's low and get as low as, say, 25K, that might provide an opportunity to defend the LVN for a shot at pushing this thing back up on a longer term basis. But right now, complete weakness, major decline, and keeping an eye right now on prices below 35K. If there's an opportunity to reject and pop back above it, we could bounce back toward value. But until that's seen right now, this thing is still marking its way lower with a shot at testing the previous year's low down the way. Ethereum, Ether futures down 11% right now. Similar look and feel to Bitcoin, a major gap down and run. Not quite the lows of the year. We were much lower here earlier this year, 2158. Right now we're at 2388. So we're still off the lows of the year. Not even off the lows of February here, but approaching those lows. And any push into those lows, again, could provide a major test opportunity. This is a key range low as well. You see the bottom of value right here at 2135s. Again, any push down below the key range low and below value into 2000 or below it, again, very similar to Bitcoin here, could provide a long-term opportunity to defend for a shot at rotating back toward value. Until then, though, this thing could continue to mark lower until we see significant signs of rejection. So right now, looking quite weak here. A pop back above 2420 could provide a short-term intraday rally. But until this thing really shows signs of rejection here, we're going to continue to see a downward price discovery phase. So watching to see how this behaves here as we approach the lows of the year. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this develops into the new week of trading. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.